Growth Pod is brought to you by Genero, a leading growth agency in the Nordics. We interview marketing experts, business leaders, and entrepreneurs to uncover the stories and strategies behind profitable growth.
Boxbollen is one of the most interesting D2C brands in the Nordics. In just 2 years, they grew revenue almost tenfold to $30 million last year. They work with some of the biggest celebrities in the world, including people like Tom Brady, Conor McGregor, and Khloe Kardashian. And they did all of this without raising any equity and with a team of just a handful of people. Please enjoy this conversation with Jacob and Victor Eriksson, the founders of Boxbollen. This is a first in our podcast. This is the first time that we have two guests and brothers nonetheless. That's pretty special. Is this Boxbollen, is that your first venture that you guys have worked on together, or have you had previous projects?
Yes, it's the first.
What's the benefit of, I have two brothers and I've worked with both of them as well. So from your perspective, what are the benefits, and are there potentially any kind of drawbacks from working with family, working with brothers?
I think for me, at least, it's the deep trust that you get. You know that you have someone, taking your back. You can take, if something bad happens, you are together. If something good happens, you celebrate together. So I think that you have someone that you can trust is number one for me, at least.
Yeah, I think that's so key. And it's so hard to find, right? It's so hard to find someone who doesn't only have like complementary skill sets, but also where you have that trust, because it takes so much time to build. So it's a huge competitive advantage if you have it and can sustain it. And you guys have had a lot to celebrate together, I'm sure. So let's get into that. But before we start with Boxbollen, I'd be interested just to learn about kind of some background before that, everything that led up to that. For instance, you started your first business at 19. It was an ad agency, I believe. So
yeah. Wow, you have Googled around.
Got to do the research. So what
Yeah.
led you? 19 is a very young age to start a business. What kind of made you want to choose the path of entrepreneurship?
I think I started very young doing projects online, logos and websites, and I got used to, I was thinking maybe I was like 14, 15. And I got used to, doing something, getting paid, and being more like, task focused instead of getting a job. Then went to the US, and while I was studying in college, I also did freelance stuff on the side all the time. And then a friend of mine wanted to try to start something together. So I came back to Sweden and we started our little ad agency, doing like video ads. We did like Facebook pages. It was a thing back then. I think it was around 2010 maybe.
Yeah, I guess all that learning, because since that you've been working a lot with design and UX and UI, and all those experiences have been really crucial in then making Boxbollen the success that it is. So it kind of all builds on top of each other.
Yeah, I think, you have the branding aspect, you have the UX and product design aspect, you have the marketing aspect, and then you have also the video production aspect. And all these creative fields, if you know all of them, then you could be like a one-man band, which I was for a long time. And when we started Boxbollen, that meant that we already know how to do ads, how to do all our like the videos and the paid ads and the website and the e-com, So yeah, it gave a lot in the beginning.
Totally. So Boxbollen then, how did that all come about? I think this is your fourth or fifth year?
Fifth year, yeah.
What was the kind of idea, inspiration that led you to start this?
The question, right? We always get this. You can tell it.
How it started. So, and the question you asked before about like the background, and for me, this entrepreneurship journey, or what we're gonna call that we're doing, So I was basically thrown into this world, coming from a sport background, playing soccer for 20 years, had huge goals, huge dreams, loved to win. And then at 26, 27 years old, I realized that, okay, I'm not going to make the money I want to make playing soccer. So I started working with sales for a few years. And 3 years in, I did good money, but I was so bored at the job. And I was, in my head every day, like, what should I do with my life? Where's my passion? Because I was comparing a lot of stuff to soccer. And then one day my brother comes to me and he says, I think I found the first thing we should do together, because we have been talking, we should do something someday, something, and he showed me this thing punching on a ball. And I was like, maybe. But then we started, with prototyping in China, with samples forth and back. And the first time I tried it with my brother, we just saw the potential of it. And we were like, yeah, this is what we're going to do. So that is kind of how we fell in Boxbollen. But yeah, you can talk about how you come up with the idea.
Yeah, so my brother done football, right, soccer. I did MMA in my youth, I think from like 16 to like 22. Took a break, started training again at 27-ish. And then I saw this video of a guy who had like a tennis ball, shoestring, and a cap. And at first, I wanted it for myself. So I Googled and realized, fuck, there's no product. No one has made this a product. And then I went to my brother. I was like, I think let's make this, but a tennis ball is hard and it's shoestring, it wasn't really that commercial. So we started exploring in China, Alibaba, AliExpress, starting contacting different, factories. And can you make this sample? We want a soft ball, a string, and headband. This is the packaging. And then we finalized our first version of it and launched in Sweden 2018 for Christmas. We produced 1,000 units and sold 3,000 units. I'm going to just show the dog quick. And then
yeah, we've got to introduce dog.
This is Dumle.
There we go.
He's our little mascot in the company.
A big fan of Boxbollen probably as well.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to lock you in now for a bit so we can be quiet.
Yeah, if you leave a ball in an area where he can reach it, when you come back to the office, or you're going to for sure see him with Boxbollen in his mouth, playing.
Test user. I'm curious with the name, because obviously Boxbollen is a Swedish name. So from the very beginning, did you have the aspiration of building this international or even global brand?
Yeah, I think, that was one of the first things that we said, that this is something that we want to do global. We want everyone in the world to have a Boxbollen at their household. So a global household item has been one of our, goals.
Where did the kind of ambition come from maybe the courage to dream so big at this very early stage of the business?
I think we both had it in a way. With Victor, in football, wanted to go all the way, right? You don't want to stay at a certain place. You want to maximize. And it's the same thing I've always dreamt, and I don't really know where it comes from. And we've talked about it, but I've always dreamt of doing something big. I mean, something big and global, and building a brand that's global. So I think, succeeding in the US, for example, is one of the biggest things you can do as a brand.
Yeah, it's like, what do they say about, if you can do it in New York, if you can succeed there, you can succeed anywhere. It's the biggest, but also the most competitive market. And that kind of belief in the brand, I saw in another interview, you said that's been really key in fueling not just your strategy, but also that kind of persistence and perseverance, facing all these no's that you've had to face, and then just kind of keep pushing forward.
Yeah, for us, we've always said that, we want to work with the biggest names. We want to influence people at scale. We want to see people, in Africa or in, US or in the Nordics. Everyone can, compete versus each other and play. So, yeah, big dreams, big goals, and big bets. Big bets.
But it's also like, for me at least, having this feeling that we got something so good and we just want to come out with it. We want everyone to see it, everyone to try it.
Yeah.
And how do we do this? The fastest, the best way possible. And that is the big names, going out on TV, doing the big bets. Because it is risks we're taking, but we are willing to take that, because if we succeed with it, and of course we believe that we will, then we know the response and the result's going to be so good.
Exactly. Okay, so I think we need to put some numbers to what we've been talking about here. So, first, this is your 4th year. Last year was a record-breaking 5th year. I apologize.
We're entering the 6th.
Yeah, we're entering actually the 6th year. So we just finalized the 5th year.
Yeah, finalized the 5th year. It was the biggest by far, 28 million US dollars in sales.
That's more.
More. Okay.
Yeah. So, and it's new numbers, and it's, just being confirmed 2 days ago. So our revenue ended at 306 million Swedish, which is $30 million.
There you go, breaking the 30 million mark. That's incredible.
Yeah, it's so important. It wasn't important until we made it. So our goal was $25 million this year or last year. But then when we were at 280, like 28, we were like, fuck, maybe, and then our CFO came back, the books are almost done and the revenue is, confirmed with the accountants and everything. And it's ended at 306 million Swedish, $30 million. And we're like, yes.
That's incredible. And the year previously, you were at about 126, I think, Swedish. So that's like 2.5x growth. The year before that, like 36. So that's like 3.5x. So just incredible growth rate. And we talked offline. I think the ambition is to continue this trend. And today's good. Yeah,
we're set to reach $70 million in sales in 2025 with our current plan. Although I must say that it was not our intention to stop at 30 million last year. We ran out of stock, so we had the demand. We had to pause our marketing end of middle of December, which it breaks your heart when you're building something and you're scaling and you see that, fuck, we can sell how much, we can end at 50 million this year, but we don't have stock. We can't do it. We have to pause. We have to lower the spend,
Yeah, I can totally understand that. I think it'll be really interesting to kind of talk a little bit about both the sides of, like, first of all, how have you been able to create such demand, such a lot of demand in a very short period of time, and then also how have you been able to meet that? Not fully, like you said, you're going to run into some blockers, but nevertheless, very rapid growth. So going back to kind of I'm guessing has been kind of the key driver in your strategy. You mentioned the big names. I'll list off a few here. So we got Khloe Kardashian, Conor McGregor, Tom Brady, Bill Gates, Dr. Phil, Wayne Rooney, Eva Longoria, Tyson Fury, Hamzat, Snoop Dogg, bunch more. So these are...
It sounds so good when you just rumble the names.
Yeah.
Love it. You
get a big smile on your face because, man, if you knew some of these people, how hard they were to close. It's amazing that we did. I must say, being out there and hustling every day and trying to close these people and work with these people because they're so big and they get so many opportunities every day and everyone wants to work with them. And then you get them to work with your brand and not only work with us, but loving the story, loving the brand, loving the product. I think, it can't be better. That aspect of the business is, I think, the best, I would say.
Yeah, I was trying to think if there's a similar... if there's any benchmarks. Nordic companies of similar size that have been able to do this, and not even Nordic, like period companies around the world. D2C consumer goods brands that have been able to work with these kind of celebrities and also doing it without this mega budget. Like you guys are bootstrapped, right?
Yeah.
I don't think there's anyone in the world who has done that. So let's try to break that apart. What was the first big celebrity that you signed? How did that come to be?
The first big one, it depends on at what scale. So I think, we had big ones in Sweden, and then we went to the UK and had big ones, and then we went to the US and had even bigger ones. So where do you want us to, what do you define as big?
That's like the ones where you just were like, oh my goodness, I can't believe we actually got that person to, where you realize for yourselves, like, oh, this is
first time, or because I think that feeling has been coming back. So I would say the first time, at least for us, that was a big noticeable difference. It was first year in the UK with John Terry and his wife.
How did that deal come about? Did you pick him specifically?
Before we talk about it, I just want my brother to tell you, when did we sign the contract and when did we shoot, the little story with
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, yeah, that for sure is the name that was feeling like international big name, that when you are in the country saying his name, everyone is like, oh, what, really, true, are you going there? But yeah, I mean, the story about him is similar to many other stories, but that was the first time it was happening, and we actually ended up signing the deal with him when we were at his house, and my brother was coaching him playing the ball, and I was sitting with his agent in the sofa, going through the documents, signing the deal, completing everything, and they were already ongoing. I hear my brother in the background, go slow in the beginning, find the rhythm, and I look up, I see John Terry is playing, and I'm like, is this real? Is this for real?
Yeah.
It was crazy.
You guys have really been kind of hustling, traveling about, doing these deals, right? It's no kind of like partners or you've been negotiating this yourselves, right?
I would say we go all ways. Sometimes it's through an agent, sometimes it's direct, sometimes it's through someone that is opening the contact, that's getting paid, that then introduces someone else, and then we it can be so many ways. It can be, that's why I had an interview yesterday, and I told them it's all in, all ways are open. So there's no one receipt, step one, do this, step two. It's more like, you go here, you go there, you follow someone's brother on Instagram and trying to slide a DM. You found someone through someone's, caretaker,
wife. I mean, wherever your mind sees that you might find a way through to the person or the agent, go for it. And I would say this feeling of working with big names, it became pretty familiar actually from the start when we launched Boxbollen, because that was the strategy from the beginning, just shipping out products to influencers. They were not the huge ones, but they were in Sweden and they were famous here. And we just shipped, and we saw pretty early that it worked. And so ramping it up, doing with bigger and bigger names, and after doing it with John Terry and his wife, in our head, or in my head at least, it was like, okay, we can do big names. There's just a matter of finding through and making them want to be a part of it.
Yeah. It's so much about building momentum, right? It's like you get that one person that allows you to sign a little bit bigger and bigger and bigger. And all of a sudden you got the biggest athletes in the world, McGregor, Brady, using the product.
Yeah. I mean, I still think when you level up, so I think from John Terry, that was big, right? But then when we did Khloe Kardashian, I would say I felt almost like, John Terry was not big. So, I mean, you raise the bar all the time, and people always ask us now, like, okay, but how are you going to raise the bar now when you already work with the biggest names? There's still a lot of big people that we want to work with. And there's some exciting things this year. I can't tell them right now, but it's going to happen. It's going to be cool.
It's going to be really interesting to follow, because I was following you on LinkedIn, and then I just saw like these names come up. And I think with the one that was like, for me, it was like, wow, how did they get him? I was McGregor.
Yeah.
I saw that. That was like November or something?
That was just before we went to the US. We went to Dubai first to shoot him. And I would say that could be one of the most fun shoots. I think Conor McGregor and John Jones and Steven Gerrard was fun. But I think those are my two favorite shoots because it was just so good energy. I mean, it's always good energy, but it was on another level. I think with Conor, we filmed him for like 3.5 hours in the middle of the night in Dubai. So we were done at 4 a.m.
I want to talk about, you mentioned previously, like the big bets, right? These people don't, they don't work for free. So you had to negotiate, I guess, some pretty big deals. And because of the nature of your product, the vast majority of revenue comes in Q4, specifically around Christmas. So you're doing all these deals, investing in media throughout the year, buying up inventory, hoping or projecting that you're going to sell all of this stuff. Yeah. So it's how are you making that balance? Is it just, we've got this target, we believe in the brand, we're going to make all these investments, or how are you balancing the risk reward of these big bets that you're placing?
It's a really good question. I'm going to start by saying that we spent over $10 million on marketing last year. And it's a big sum, right? And that has always been a mini goal in my back of my head. No, someday I want to spend $10 million on marketing. I love marketing. I think it's one of the most fun things to do. I see it as a game almost. But okay, so every year we sit down, me and my brother, and we even have it on our whiteboard, our goal for the year. And if you want, I can go there and show you. It's been there all year. We have it even, we don't have this side out, so we hide it, but we write it. So this was for last year. This was our goal. So you see, we exceeded the goal, right? But it's our guiding stars, these numbers. So it starts there, and then we go in with our CFO. How much can we spend on celebrities this year? How much does stock gonna cost? How much money do we, for example, need in credit to be able to do it? We have very good relationships with Meta and TikTok where we get good credit. So all our performance marketing is a cost that comes, very at the end when we actually scale. But stock and celebrities usually upfront. And that puts some stress on the bank account, right? So it's a game of balance. And it's also a lot of, and I know data people will be all upset now, but it's a lot of gut feeling. It's a lot of me and my brother were talking, and our CFO says, for example, okay, or like this. So last year we wanted to spend $3 million on celebrities. That was our goal. And we managed to get that budget. Unfortunately, we couldn't spend it all. So, yeah. This year, I think we would like to have 5-6 million for celebs.
I think what's really incredible is that it sounds like you have this very focused, very kind of simple, very difficult to execute at a high level, but the playbook is fairly simple. It's like top tier celebrity partnerships, shooting the content yourself, and then using paid social, organic social as well, but paid social really to drive. And focusing really heavily, of course, on the holiday season. Is that kind of roughly?
Yeah, that's a good analysis. Also, I would say, we see Christmas or holidays as a drop. There's a lot of drop-based businesses that only focus on short amount of time, high volume. So it's not really that controversial, I would say, even though everyone's like, oh, do you really want this seasonality? Oh, it's such a big risk and this and that. But I think we're seeing that now in society, that it's a behavior, how a lot of successful brands release stuff. I was so motivated about, the fight between Dylan Dennis and Logan Paul, right? Or was it Logan or Jake? Yeah, Logan. So it was not the fight itself. It was that they claimed that they sold 1.3 million pay-per-views. And I remember we talked about it. I was like, oh, it's just clicks. If they can do it, I know we can do 1.4 million balls in 30 days or 35 days. So it was kind of a nice data that they let out that we did 1.3 million pay-per-views in a short period of time, like a drop. Around $20 also. So it was, comfortable feeling like, okay, if they could do it, they don't have that big celebrities, they don't do that much marketing, then we can do it.
That makes so much sense. And it's interesting because I've been thinking about specifically the way promotion works in the fighting industry. It's so different. And I think that's the industry that, in my opinion, is the best in the world at capturing attention, getting people excited, building up hype, and then converting that on like this huge revenue basis on a very short period of time, so it makes sense that you kind of like took that element and built your business model around that. Very cool. Okay. And so a couple of more interesting things I think that you guys are doing differently. The whole top tier celebrities and like you said, the drop basis, that's pretty unique, certainly for a brand of your scale. Another thing that I heard you say is that you want every order to be profitable, GM3 positive, or you don't want it. And
I must say, I love your detail of like you nail it to the word.
The words matter, especially when you're talking about profitability. But there's a lot of e-commerce and consumer brands that are profitable, but very few of them are growing at the rate you guys are growing at. And I could imagine that a lot of people, if they were in your position, they'd say, hey, we're growing at this insane rate. Let's relax the profitability target. Let's raise some capital. The investors are not going to care. They want to see top line revenue growth. Let's just contain the losses, but it's fine. So you guys, where does this first of all, how are you able to maintain this level of profitability at scale? Like, you must run a very efficient operation.
I would say that sometimes we feel a bit autistic when it comes to just that, if it's not profitable, we don't want it. And I also, we saw a couple of years ago, a lot of companies growing at insane rates, doing big losses, loss after, and I always wondered, and we talked about how can these companies be so high value? How can they make so big losses? And when do you expect to return these losses? Because I believe that, profit is one of the big pillars in business, right? How, if you're only relying on external money all the time, you're going to be hooked. You're going to need more and more, and a new round and a new round and a new round. And is the business really successful then? So I think having that as a big goal for us, that we want to be able to grow profitable. And then, of course, how much it is, we can always be flexible depending on the situation. Maybe these years we want to invest a bit more in tech or, but I think that is, if it doesn't work at scale, we don't want to do it. Because imagine you would go, minus GM3. So you're negative GM3, right? Let's say you do that for 100 orders. Not big deal, right? But what happens if you do that for 1.4 million orders? That's what we do. Like, everything, we start small. If it's good, we scale it. If it's good, we scale it. So we don't want, and we get pitched so much. Please, we can do this and we can do that. And I want to do your paid search and you can increase with 200%. And we do tests at small scale. And usually it doesn't work. We just say, okay, we're not going to do it. Because if it doesn't work at small scale, it's not going to work at big scale. So yeah, if it's not profitable, we don't want it.
Yeah, I think that level of discipline also then gives you a lot of freedom, because going back to what you mentioned about the budget you're going to spend on celebrities and are spending, if you were at the mercy of your investors, having to go to them and say, hey, look, we believe this is going to pay off, like, please give us a couple of million to spend, they'd probably say, no, that's too big of a bet. Are you crazy? But now you're control of your own destiny as a company, essentially, or at least much more in control.
Yeah, we are. And I think this is a question we ask ourselves sometimes. We say, when we think about a big celebrity and it's a big cost, or, an investment into TV or whatever, and we say, okay, are we going to do this? If we believe, yes. And then we say, if we don't do it, what's going to happen? That's a good question also.
That's a really good question.
And then the second question to that question is also, if we do this and it doesn't succeed, what are we? I mean, if we can't succeed with this person, then who are we going to succeed with? So a lot of times it comes down to like, are we going to do this or not? We ask, okay, what happens if we don't do it? We're not going to grow. And if we do it and if we don't succeed, then we're not going to succeed with our business anyways, basically.
Totally. So kind of, you focused on profitability. Another thing that relates to that is you're running, I think, based on LinkedIn, it seems like you have a very small, efficient team.
Yes.
Which is
maybe even too small right now, I would say. I think we need like 2 or 3 more key hires that, because we're growing at this speed, we're a bit, me, my brother, and, some of the people are a bit overworked, I would say. But still, I've been in organizations where we grow from like 20 people to 200 in 1 year. And it's not a good thing usually. So we want to keep lean, tight. We want to be so efficient. We want everyone that's in our team to be a high performer. I also think that is a key, that the people that we do find are high performers. Our recent hire that we're super happy about is our CTO, Ton Sundström. He comes from Bambooser. He was a co-founder there. And he's been with us for like 8 months. And it took our whole tech and our app to next level. And we want to keep doing that type of hires where we find people that are the best at what they do.
I think that's so interesting because it's like if you focus on the really high leverage things, you can do so much with so little. And, the partnership model is an example. Like you can go and get Conor McGregor and that will replace having to 1,000 micro influencers. Because he has that global reach.
True.
And you guys, I mean, you said you're shooting the content yourself, right?
Yes.
That's pretty, I think, also very unique. It's like most people at that scale would be thinking, okay, let's hire that creative director. Let's build a team to manage all these different things. But you guys are hands-on with the most critical thing.
Yeah. We go in, me and my brother, we fly all over the world. So I would say, people like, oh, nice, you're saving money on a production, like you don't have to have an agency, etc. But okay, then our traveling cost goes up instead. So we go in, we fly in, and also we establish a relationship with them. They see that we care about this. It's not just selling a product. We want them to have a good experience while we're there. We want them to jump and scream and laugh and
one thing that is not talked about that much. We run the business, we do all these things, but it started actually with me and my brother being obsessed with this thing, playing against each other, competing. So we've done this. We play the Boxbollen now for this is the 6th year. We know the product. We know all the tricks. We know all the tips. We know how to get good fast. So when we come there, it's the first time for them. It is challenging, but with some small coaching tips and how to get started, we get them pretty good in a fast time. So that is a part also why we want to be there. We want to make sure that they know the product in a short period of time.
And there's no really substitute for that. And I don't think people appreciate the difference it makes when you have the founders who have skin in the game, who love the product on an emotional level, and love the brand, show up and show that they believe in it. Like we're all humans, and that resonates. Whoever, even if it's a big celebrity, that they notice that. And they're so.
I think this is more usual, maybe in Silicon Valley with tech startups where you usually have like the founders like at the front and on LinkedIn, and he's passionate and having talks and being out there meeting users. And I think it's not maybe that common for like products or brands, I feel it's more like the tech part of the world where the founders are more out there on the field, right?
Yeah, I think so too. Okay. Another thing, so you've had this, massive success, and you've done it with one product, the same one that you've been running now for going on the 6th year. How are you dealing with? Because if you I googled Boxbollen, you're gonna get these copycats and so on. So how are you dealing with that? Is it about building the brand, this is the original, this is the best one? Or how are you thinking about kind of dealing with the increased competition?
It's a good question, of course, because, copycats are out there, but not only copycats, there's a lot of scammers, online scammers that are stealing our content and driving traffic to like a drop shipping site where they sell some shit from China, and customers, they get fooled and they get angry. They think they buy the real product. That is, I would say, the biggest problem. It's not actually the other brands that are doing this at small scale. It's when they actually come in and scam people, when it's fraud companies stealing our content, maybe with Conor McGregor or Tom Brady or Chloe, and they're pushing their product. And it's hard. I mean, I would say, even though we have contact persons at both TikTok and Meta, sometimes it takes too long for them to remove it. We have all the brand registrations, or, it's the copyright content, but still it takes maybe, 5 days or 2 weeks to get it down. And in those 2 weeks, they are allowed to spend a lot of marketing money on that, which is not good. But okay, so back to the question, I would say, the community that we're building of over 700,000 people in our app, the fact that we are the only ones right now caring about this sport. And if you are, if you want to show your skills, there's really only one place to show your skills in Boxbollen, and it's the official Boxbollen. Even though people sometimes buy like a fake one or like a copycat one from Amazon, they still tag Boxbollen on Instagram, for example. So I think that is one of our strongest anti-competitor, the community, the celebrities, the app, that we're all, the official thing, the official sport, the official place where you come with your Boxbollen and hang.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, there are so many people out there who, they want to get something for their kids or for their dad, as it was, I think, in the case of Bill Gates. You want to get that, and of course you want to get the original. Like, it's not that much more expensive. Get the real one. You know that it works.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think another thing that's been kind of unique here is that you've done this enormous scale with one product, like I said. Do you see that kind of continuing? What's the big vision? Is there like a 5-year plan of like, we want to build, Boxbollen to be this huge global one product brand, or are you thinking about expanding, or is it too early to say?
I would say the big vision is to inspire people to move and have fun. It doesn't matter how, really. Most of our product development is in our app. We're doing some really exciting things with AI and computer vision, where you could play games that you don't even need a physical product to. It's going into the sphere of VR, AR. But then, of course, we're looking to expand the product line. We're looking at, bigger versions, maybe something you put on the wall, or, maybe something you stand in your office, or, maybe, we're looking to do like a mobile stand that is, because when you play with the app, you put the phone up. We're looking to maybe do some gloves that's cool with sensors. I mean, it's a lot of potential, but we still want to scale our original Boxbollen product.
And I'm guessing because of the ambition with the brand is that you're very careful about whatever you expand into. It has to be high quality. It has to serve that mission that you outlined.
Yep.
Okay. Now, as you're looking ahead in 2024, is it kind of just more of the same? I mean, following the same playbook that you've developed, or are you looking to shake things up? Is there anything on the horizon that's like coming, that you see coming, that will maybe have a big impact on how you're going about your business?
It will definitely be more of the same. So we're gonna double the revenue. It looks like we're gonna launch we have said that every year we want to launch at least one new market. Last year it was Canada and Ireland. Very successful. We sold out, so that was good. This year we might look into Asia, one of like an Asian country, or we might launch Australia. So or both. We're still, so the numbers are not 100% in, and we haven't done the budget for the year. So we're in a bit of a waiting, we're in a bit on a what they call it. We don't know exactly what we're going to do this year yet.
So it almost feels like we're still in 2023,
Yeah.
Wrapping it up. But we talked, just a couple of days ago that as soon the number is done, we need maybe 1 week in the sun to go through all the ideas that we have, all the new markets we want to launch, and see, okay, what is the actual market we want to open up next? What is the actual product that we have time and should put effort in to release maybe this year on the market? So there's so much ideas and thoughts right now that we just want to finalize, and then let's go. Let's do it.
It's going to be really interesting to follow from the side what you guys are going to be getting up to, and also then hopefully we can check back in about a year's time, and then we can look at the results, and hopefully it will be more than reaching your target or exceeding your target, which would be pretty wild. Just a final question, because I know it's you probably have a lot of investors knocking at your door wanting to buy all or part of the company, and you've turned them all down. Is it is a plan to stay bootstrapped, stay in control of the company and the vision?
The plan is actually the opposite. So we are looking to sell half the company at least. We want to find, I think, preferably a strategic partner that buys the majority stake in the company, and that we can take it to the next level. Because, we want to scale, but we don't want to build an organization. We don't want to do supply and logistics and distribution and legal and this and that. We want to focus on, the experience, the brand, and the marketing. I think the right buyer, and to be completely honest, we are in a process already. So, it's all about finding the right partner who believes in this and can take it to the next level that we couldn't do ourselves. Or it would take us maybe 5 years what they could do in 1 or 2 years.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, given what you've been able to achieve on your own, if you have the right partner with whether it's distribution or some other resources, sky's the limit. Or as was a bottleneck last year, just manufacturing supply.
Oh, yeah. It's I had a very exciting call with a guy that he was part of the team who acquired Guitar Hero, and he said there's a lot of similarities. I think they were like maybe at $20 million or something, and they just scaled. And I've seen also other companies, Swedish companies, like there's a game studio which was sold to a very interesting toy manufacturer / digital gaming entertainment company, and they just went from like $10 million to poof, $1 billion. It's
the space you're operating in is one that's experiencing so much change, and there's obviously global huge. If you get something that's I think is really cool, is the fact that this breaks geographical boundaries, but also demographic. You see Bill Gates and Conor McGregor. That covers almost pretty much all of
and even if you go further down, you go down to the 6-year-olds in the app who are looking at the top leaderboards, and they will be in 2 or 3 years when they're like 9, they will be one of the best in the app. We've seen that so many times, that people coming in at 9, 10, and then be going for 1, 2, 3 years, and now they're like 13 and they're winning $10,000, $5,000,
and they're building muscles during the process. They get this, the wings, the lats start to pop out, the shoulders growing. And before we talked about big bets, taking risk, gut feeling. And we've done this now over and over, year after year. So a lot of the big bets and the gut feelings comes from knowing the process. Like, we know the concept now, we know what process, we know what we need to do to get the results. Now it's a matter of how fast and how big can we scale. And I think that's also the biggest reason why we want to have muscles in the company. Like, we know the concept now we just want to go open new markets, do it faster, do it bigger. So it will be an exciting year this year.
And that's so attractive to an investor who can just kind of plug in their resources or capital, whatever it is. Like you said, the concept, what you can do with the right help. Safe to say you guys are very excited about this year. Best of luck to you both. It's going to be really exciting to follow you. I think it's so interesting the way you're going about this. It's so unique. And I hope that Swedish, Finnish brands are going to be watching and try to copy this. I think it will be very difficult, but hopefully it'll inspire people to rethink some of the ways that these brands have been built in the past.
I think, it already does, because we are helping a few companies, Scandinavian brands, working with celebrities in the US. And we are open to doing that, and we think it's fun, and we have a good network now. So it's actually part of what we're doing now. So we're helping a few Scandinavian brands that they want to work with the A-list celebrities in the US, and they want to go big. And I think there's a lot of learnings that they can learn from us quite easy.
Absolutely. Jacob and Victor, thank you so much for joining me. It was a true pleasure. Good luck with everything.
Thank you.
Thank you as well.
Okay, have a good day.
You too.
Okay, bye.
Thank you for listening. You can find all episodes of The Growth Pod on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts.